All righty, we're going live. Hi, everybody. It's Jason with Green Country Agriculture here. I hope I wasn't too long getting back from the restroom over there. Sorry about that. The restroom is very, 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 and then I mean very, very cold right now. We decided, if you watch the video, we decided as we saw the polar vortex approaching, knowing how it was going to behave, because I've been watching this thing as it's coming, right? I was watching it when it hit the panhandle and how it just kind of sat there. Okay, so we've got one of those storm systems. It's going to be there for a while, so that's good. We have a few days to get ready for things, but whenever it decides to shift over to where we're at, I can probably expect it to sit on top of us for a while. So I said, okay, we're going to wait until like the last minute, and then I'm going to do it. And I was planning on shooting the video that you guys have probably already seen a little bit sooner than I did, but I thought, yeah, I'm going to push it to the last minute because, you know, my plan for avoiding having our pipes freeze was shutting the water out. So I wanted to make sure as much stuff as I had prepared ahead of time was prepared ahead of time. So I guess I'll talk about what that was. We've got these just rows upon rows in the pantry of 5-gallon Coleman totes. These are the 5-gallon plastic Coleman totes. And they're there as just part of our general emergency preparedness supplies, 30 gallons of water. So if we do have to, just shut the house down, not go outside, we have at least 30 gallons. It's not a whole lot, but we do have 30 gallons of clean drinking water that we can pull on. Now, sanitation is a different matter. We had to deal with some sanitation too during this period, and we're still dealing with sanitation during this period because right now we have temperatures that are dropping once again down into the 20s overnight. They'll be back up in the 40s tomorrow, but then they go back down to the 20s, and according to the forecast, they're not going to come back up again for a while again after that. So we're going to have some more extended cold weather to deal with. So for right now, the water is going to stay turned off at the street. What does that look like? Wow. Mary went to the truck stop because she wanted hot running water to take a shower with, and I don't blame her for going and taking a shower at the truck stop. That's a luxury, but it's good practice. It's very good practice. We've got water heating up on the stove right now. Why is the pink chair here? Because I made the space so that if we have extra guests and stuff, I actually have room for an actual physical guest. Right here. It was one of the kitties earlier because as I was getting ready to, in the 20s tonight. It's going to be in the 20s, maybe. They think. We'll see. It's Oklahoma. It can change. But we brought the kitties in, and we did an inventory the other night when Mary was still here. So we had Mary and myself, and of course Kimber and Brendan, and then neighbor kid from down the road who has not given me permission to mention her name, so I won't mention her name, and her boyfriend Azrael were here, and Azrael doesn't care if I mention his name, so I'm going to mention his name. So we had six humans. They brought over one of their cats. Of course, Brendan and Kimber had their cats with them and their dogs, and Mary just got another dog. And of course, there's the snake. So we had, let's see, altogether, there were 3 dogs, 2 of them next door. 3 dogs, 7 cats, a snake, 6 ducks, and 6 humans. Getting by with what we had as the polar vortex passed over-ish, and it was an interesting evening the first night. Kids stayed out here where the wood stove was on a pallet on the floor, kind of practice for just in case. What if the power does go out? What do we do? Like, you come over here and we clear out space on the floor. We needed to clear the space anyway, so we've got a nice area over here in the living room that's now been cleaned up. That was in bad need of it, so it's all good. But we got to practice what it would be like if we really did have to get through hard times. Say we do wind up in a situation where there's no power, no light, gas isn't working, and we have to make do with what we've got. Well, I think we're going to be fairly okay. Having to run and operate the manual water pump during extreme cold weather is something we haven't had to do yet. And I might want to do a little practice with it. Right now, we just have the water drained. I've got the foot valve open, so all the water's drained out of the pipe. There's no water standing in the pipe, which means it can't freeze, right? But it does mean we'd have to go out and reprime it every time we wanted to get water. And every time we reprime, we have to do a lot of extra pumping to get rid of sediment issues. If you're not keeping it running constantly, sediment starts to become a problem. So we have to change filters quite frequently if we're doing that. It's better to keep it running and keep it clear. At some point in the future, we're going to go out and we're going to sink down an additional well, either another sand point, or what I prefer to do, if I can pull it off, would be to go ahead and sink a casing with an actual open well. That way, worst comes to worst, we can always lower a bucket and pull a bucket up and out of there. Sasbrett says, when I drive my well, I plan on a very well insulated well house. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Having some way to get your hands on some water is great. We're just sitting here going, right now the pipes underneath the house, the ones leading to the kitchen, are frozen. We have the water turned off, so the whenever the pipes froze, they went ahead and expanded to the point that they can, but none of it came out the faucet either. We left that open so that if it does, it's got a place to go. That piping is frozen, and I expected it to, with the temperatures getting as low as they were. It's just not a whole lot we can do about that. Mainly, I'm worried about the line going from the meter to the house because it's so close to the surface. Worried about that thing freezing, because the city water guys may have laid it, but they're going to make us pay for it if it fails. So we'll go ahead and fill up everything, fill the water up, turn the water off the street, ride it out. I can go out during the warm part of the day, turn the water back on, top everything back off, and then turn the water off. And that's what we've been doing. So it's been kind of a fun little adventure. All the little outdoor kitties that ordinarily are outside roughing it whenever it's cold out, 20s is probably okay. They've got places where they can take shelter, and of course we provide them with extra food during the winter. The birds that are non-migratory, a little extra food during the winter, make sure they have access to water during the winter, stuff like that. But right now, because we have those temperatures that dropping down into the teens, then single digits sometimes, they came inside. Would you like to see one? Would you like to see one of our kitties? One of our outdoor kitties that is now indoors just today. Hey, Bilbo, Mr. Baggins. Are you Mr. Baggins or are you Mr. Underfoot? Which one are you today? Hi. Hello. Can I borrow you, sir? Can I borrow you? Hello. Hi. Hello. Pardon me. Hi. I have a kitty. This guy, his mom dropped him off here. And he lived under the house for like a month or two, right? Didn't want to come out. He's very shy, right? Didn't want to come out. He was under the house. He was living in a hole in the ground. So I said, a hole in the ground. There lived a hobbit. So we named him Bilbo. His name is Bilbo Baggins, and he's just adorable, right? He's probably inaptly named. We should probably call him Bilbo Underfoots. From the Underfoot clan, because he is always underfoot. But just a big, strong, handsome kitty cat, isn't he? Nice wet nose. Very healthy and happy and warm and indoors for right now. I don't know how he's going to respond. Oh, hi. I don't know how he's going to respond to being sent outdoors. He may not like it. Okay, I'm going to put you down over here, okay? There you go. All right, you can just resume what you were doing. That was great. You were doing great. You just curl up and purr. That's awesome. Completely feral cat. 100% feral. Hi. No. What? Hi. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, now here's the funny part. Mary's putting in the chat here, if you people are listening in, Mary's putting that she bought the house from Bill, Bert, and Betty. And the other kitty is a little tiny black female short hair that also her mother dropped her off, different mother, I'm sure, and she was living under the house. And so finally, we managed to get her to come out and be friendly. And we called her Betty because well, she's a little black cat, so she's Black Betty. So I can call her, but I might get a copyright strike because the thing that you can do to make her come running is whoa, Black Betty, blam blam. Let's see if she shows up. Black Betty was a child, blam blam. The thing gone wild. Where you at, Betty? I hear you around here somewhere. Are you behind the curtain? She's behind the curtain. Okay, she's behind the curtain. I probably better put Bill down or he's gonna get feisty. All right, let me look behind the curtain. I think she's behind the curtain here. Are you behind the curtain, Betty? Are you hanging out back here? Where are you at, kitty? Oh, well, Bill knows that he's on the show. Okay. Betty's run off. I don't want to do the entire. She beat the curtain. She took off to somewhere. Yeah. Oh, there she is. There she is. Black Betty was a child. Blam blam, a dang thing gone wild. Blam blam. Whoa, Black Betty. Blam. She's hitting the curtain. You may not be able to see this. Okay. Oh yeah. Come here, Betty. All right. Hi, Betty. Here you are. So we have to sing a little song to summon her. But this one's Betty. And she's also an outdoor kitty. There we go. My apologies if I offended anyone with the bad music. But it is simply the way we call this particular cat because she responds to it. Okay. She doesn't really like showing up on camera though. Off you go. There you go. And we have one more kitty that is usually outside around here somewhere. We call him Sergeant. Sergeant, short for Sergeant Crybaby. He's about 16 to 17 years old. He's had one trip to the vet his entire life. He has lived outdoors his entire life. That's right. So apparently, a cat can live outdoors and have a nice, full, and exciting life and not get killed, apparently, if they're intelligent enough. He is. He pretty much sticks to the yard. These kitties, if they learn their lesson, will pretty much stick to the yard and hunt gophers and snakes and stuff like that, which is exactly why we want them around. But Sergeant was up here in the chair earlier, and he was the guy I was going to present to you. But he is not up here at the moment. He's gone and found himself another place. What? Oh gosh, 7 cats in the house at the moment. It's going to smell interesting. It's going to smell interesting before spring gets here. But everybody gets to stay warm, and these little ones will be a bit better able to deal with the harsh conditions. Hopefully next year, if it's not as bad. Sergeant is just like I said. He's 16 years old, going on 17. So I really didn't want to leave him outside, if at all possible. This might be the last winter we get to spend with the guy. So somewhere between 16 and 17, yeah. He arrived like maybe 2007. Was that when it was? 2000, maybe before? No, it was 2006 or 2006. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, he might be even older. He's a very, very old kitty. And usually you don't see him. Well, you might see him from a distance because you'll be walking. You see him sometimes outside, right? The gray and white cat. Well, he's indoors today. And he's a fluffy mess. I think he might be just on the other side of these blankets. He was checking that out as a sleepy spot earlier. No, he's not there. Oh, there you are, Sarge. Hey, can I borrow you? May I borrow you, Sarge? Yeah, I borrow you, sir. May I pick you up and carry you places and show you to people and tell them what a wonderful kitty you are? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Okay, here we go. Coming in with another kitty. This one here is Sergeant. Oh, hey, otherwise known as Sergeant Crybaby. He is the oldest cat I know. Oldest cat I know. He has lived outside his entire life. One trip to the vet, like I said. One single trip to the vet. And the rest of the time, we'd make sure he gets flea medication if he needs it. Although a lot of the time he rolls around in the herbs that we plant and he doesn't need anything. He knows how to take care of himself, which is kind of the point, right? We create this environment that allows these guys to flourish. And I am 15 minutes into the show and I haven't even started to talk about the subject I was going to talk about. Oh my goodness. Sarge, I love you, kitty. I'm going to let you go back to what you were doing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put you over here, okay? Because you were sleeping in one of the other chairs. I'm just going to let you sleep over in this chair, okay? Say hi to the people. Say bye to the people. Off you go. Off you go. There you go, sir. All right. Ah, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Lay down. And we're going to talk about my favorite toy. Ever since I was little, it's been my favorite toy. It's my imagination, my mind, right? I like to play with the thing. Since we're in the middle of winter right now and a lot of people are kind of stuck, not a lot to do. There's not a lot of gardening going on, obviously, right? I cannot wait to get back to doing stuff outside, but you just can't really do a whole lot of that right now. It's cold. It's cold, and I'm old, and my joints hurt, and I don't want to. Hickabilly says, my LLC says my 60-year-old indoor outside cat decided that she is no longer an outside cat when she turned 15. Went to the vet once when she got an infection from a fight with a feral cat. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm going inside. It's dangerous out here. I think indoors is best, right? But my rule is you should only have one cat inside. And at the moment, we've got 7, which is violating my rule. But this is just a temporary situation. This is what I tell myself. It's either that or I'll lose my sense of smell, one or the other. So ever since I was a kid, I like to use my imagination. And when I was a kid growing up, this was, 1970s. I'm old. I'm not that old, but I'm somewhat old. 1970s, we didn't have color television. Not that the television that we did would work all that good where we live. We were kind of out there a bit. We got used to the power going out. We got used to coming up with other ways to keep ourselves warm. The idea of using compost for heat is not a new one. We'll put it that way. There were a few years that it was more advantageous to go outside and perhaps make a pallet or a blanket area with the goats to stay warm because the manure decomposing would at least do something for you. But then we got wood heat and didn't have to worry about that. But I could see where a person that was in that situation would be able to go and use that as a resort. All right. So when I was a kid, oh my gosh, Betty, come on, seriously, let the curtain go. It is not your enemy. When I was a kid, we didn't have a whole lot of things to do in the winter except go out and play in the snow. And playing outside was something we did quite frequently anyway. We had these adventure books, things like Hardy Boys, right? And you'd have, I think Lassie was a TV show, but there was also a series of books that were written, and there were these sort of outdoor adventure type stories, very, very wholesome, G-rated stuff, right? But it was good for the youth to get into and get involved in outdoor activities and stuff like that. And so one of the stories that I had read was about a guy that had been in a plane crash. And of course, it's one of the Lassie stories, right? The dog was going to get help. But meanwhile, he was stuck in the tundra and having to make do. And that covered some aspects of survival. And then we got into, well, how are the Eskimos doing it, right? And they were building these igloos with snow blocks and everything, with ice blocks, and they'd shave them out so that the fire inside, as it melted the walls, it would thin it, and the thinness allowed the cold to get in and freeze it back over again. So you'd have a shelter that stopped the wind, and then of course you're up to your own devices to stay warm inside. Meanwhile, we're sitting here in Oklahoma, zone 7 typically. Most of the time we don't have that much snow and ice, but sometimes when I was a kid, we would get sufficient snow to be able to do something. So here's the trick that we used. I'll pass it on to you, and maybe you'll have the opportunity to try it out. Kids, try this out. We saved up our cardboard boxes. Lord knows people these days have plenty of cardboard boxes. If they're not quick about throwing away, they'll get overwhelmed with cardboard boxes. Trust me, we've had that problem occasionally, having to crawl through cardboard boxes to find the stuff that came in the cardboard boxes to be able to. Anyway, we had plenty of cardboard boxes. We'd take them and we'd put a plastic liner on the inside, trash can liner typically. If we could swipe one without the parental units noticing and complaining that we were wasting a plastic trash can liner. Otherwise, I mean, you could do it with just the box, but understand, eventually the box is going to fall apart. The liner keeps the box intact a little bit longer. Here's the technique. You go outside with this box, liner or not, fill it full of snow, and then pack it down. And pack it down and pack it down as good as you can. And then you get like the smallest kid in the group to get inside there with his feet and stomp, 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 pack it down. And then you fill more snow in and more snow in. And if you're the small kid in the group and you've got slightly sadistic older brothers, they're throwing the snow in without a whole lot of concern for whether it's getting into the box or underneath your socks. All right. So, but you're stomping and stomping until you've got a good hard packed block full of snow, and then you empty it out and you build another one. You keep doing this until we had blocks upon blocks that we could build forts with, and we built igloos with them. This was fun stuff. You know, these days that you didn't get to go to school during the middle of these winters when you have the snow events. So whenever you're a kid, you look out and you see all that snow. You see a landscape ripe for your imagination to just go play, right? But as we get older, something happens to us. We get more rigid. Our minds are less plastic. We don't look out and see the blank canvas of snow and imagine what we could create. We just go, wow, it's gonna be a pain getting to work in the morning. Right? We think that, and we go, oh my gosh, my feet are cold, my hands are cold, my green screen has fallen down because Kitty is adventurous. Give me a moment here. Betty, go to bed. Go to bed, Betty. There we go. There we go. So now we aren't looking out at that barren landscape and going, wow, look, opportunity. We're going out there and looking, oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt. Right? Beaver Lake, northwest of Arkansas, froze over. Ice is too thick to break through with a head-sized rock. Vicky tried. Yeah, right now, every day I'm going out there to the ducks, and I'm emptying out the tub for duck water. And we're down to one tub. We're rationing one tub of water, 10 gallons a day, 6 ducks. 6 ducks. We lost a couple. Not to this. We lost them like coming into fall for other reasons, mainly duck stupidity. And me thinking that the fence was more secure than it actually was. Anyway, so we're emptying out the tubs. We dump them out, and there's this block of ice about 4 inches thick. That's between 3 and 4 inches thick. Just thunk block of ice. Maybe a little bit of liquid water at the bottom of it in the morning, but mostly it's just a puck of ice. And so we put the pucks in between the rows in the corn patch. So I'm just tiling them along, pucks of ice. Dun, 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 dun. And underneath that's the trenches that we dug and we filled with wood chips. So whenever the pucks do wind up melting, they're going to go into that absorbent material, and hopefully that'll hold the moisture and it won't be wasted. Meanwhile, we after I dump those pucks out, we put 10 fresh gallons of water in, let the ducks out, and they can have at it. Yeah, ducks are dumb too. Turkeys are dumb. Chickens are dumb. Ducks are dumb. They get themselves killed for stupid reasons. Got to keep an eye on the critters. They're not all that bright. Well, at least the domesticated ones aren't. They're a little bit skittish, which I guess probably helps them a little bit to avoid predators. I don't know if I'd really like to have a well-mannered duck that just will come right up to a stranger and say, hi, do whatever you want to me. That it make them easy to catch. But the thing is, if they're easy to catch, it's easy for anything to catch them. Anyway, so blocks, making blocks out of ice, building igloos and snow forts, fun stuff. In the springtime, I would go out, and we lived on a farm. In the springtime, I'd go out, and whenever I was not doing chores and it was raining, I would sit out there underneath the galvanized steel roof of the pole barn. So the same barn that my grandfather used to run his produce market out of. It's split level. It has a lower half that's for all the tractors and machinery and stuff like that, and sort of a loading bay. You can bring a trailer in from the field, back it up, and then somebody can walk off and then offload from there onto the upper level. And the upper level is where the produce market was run from. It was quite the thing once upon a time, but the barn is still there. All the physical structures are still there, and of course all the earthworks that Granddad did building the farm, which was about 80 acres altogether. I've described the ponds and irrigation systems in some detail before, so I won't go into it now. But I would look at the way things were set up and the way Granddad had done them. And I was kind of interested, right? Because I'd see that, okay, somebody took the effort to move all this earth so that the water, when it fell, it would gather here, and then it could be run off to here, and it's going to do work here, 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 here. And the water doing work was the thing that was interesting to me, because I'm sitting here in the springtime, rain's falling on this galvanized steel roof, pole barn, rolling off, falling to the ground, forming channels, working its way down the slope into the pastures. And I'm sitting here watching it. I'm going, okay, so it's kind of like watching, say, the river systems of the world forming in microcosm, right? This is the way I'm thinking of it. It's like I'm watching it, and I'm seeing as water finds its way to the lowest point. It seeks level, seeing how it goes about carving a path. It finds a way that breaks this way for the least resistance. But after it does that, the motion of the water is picking up things, grit, dirt, silt, sand, stuff. It's scrubbing the bottom, and it's creating a channel. It's making more and more and more and more, wider and wider. Now more water can go this way, and more and more and more. And then it goes and it forms these paths. And the way it goes about forming paths, there's a certain logic and reason to it. And I'm watching this, and I'm going, okay, I think I kind of understand what Granddad was doing. I wasn't really thinking about that. I was just like, oh, what happens if I build a dam here? And so I'm playing in mud puddles, right, as a kid. Because when I was a kid, kids played in mud puddles. I don't know that they still do that anymore. Maybe they stay inside and they play with their digital devices. But they used to play, we used to actually play in mud puddles. We used to play in the rain. We used to play in the snow. We used to use our imaginations. Somebody didn't come along and tell us what we were supposed to do. We were just there, and we had to come up with what we were going to do ourselves. So I'm gonna kind of tease a little bit about what we're going to be talking about whenever I'm on with Greg Allison. He's getting ready for a live session where we're going to talk about the problems with government and power, and we'll get into that. Something I usually don't do on Green Country Agroforestry. I'm going to be talking on Green Country Agroforestry about a different aspect of the same thing, if you'll bear with me a bit. Dad's residence should make an app for kids to play with water. Right. Okay. Look, I'm going to put this rock in the stream here. Watch what happens. Oh, that's cool. We're going to move another rock over here. Okay, now we move the stream. Okay. It really would be something like that, right? It really would be something like that. The reason it's important that we use our imaginations is, and I'm just gonna put this here, and you're gonna have to go and listen to the chat that Greg and I are gonna have. We're going to have the full program. I've already sent him an email with the outline of how we're going to cover it, where we're going to go. And he's going through it all, and he's kind of come up with the logical arguments or reasonable arguments about what things I'm going to be presenting, so we can go at it like intellectually honest cowboys and see what happens. That's just generally the idea that we're going for. But I came up with a definition for what power is that we'll get into more detail on later. But I've been thinking about this a lot, and it really needs to be tested and explored more. Power is being the ability to present choices, whether you're presenting them to yourself or you're presenting them to somebody else. Being able to present choices. And the way it works is whenever you're wielding power, is you're creating a choice. You're using your power of imagination. That's what the power is the power of imagination, to create. And in this particular case, if you're the person in power, you're creating a choice. And the way it works is something like this. My daughter, when she was little, toddler, right? Mary is saying, save it, Jason. I'm not going to give the entire thing away. I'm just going to give you a little taste to whet your appetite. My daughter, when she was little, would come over to stay with me whenever I had my apartment by myself. And I'm still working 40 plus hours a week, so I have to get my sleep in. So bedtime is a thing that's non-negotiable. It has to be done. So when it's time for bedtime, because I need to get at least 6 hours in, at least maybe 6. I'd like to, of 6, I'll probably get 4. 4 is good. I can make do with 4. But I need to have at least 6 so I can get my 4 because of reasons. But she doesn't want to go to bed. So I told her, okay, you've got 2 choices. You can either go to bed and you lay down and close your eyes and just start working on forming a nice, pretty mental picture for yourself to dream to. Build a dream is always a fun exercise I used to do when I was a kid. Loads of fun, right? You can do that, or you can spend that time standing in the corner. But either way, I have to go to bed, and you're going to have to be quiet. And I don't want you wandering around getting into stuff with the lights out. So you'll have to do it standing in the corner. And so she'd be stubborn, and she'd go and stand in the corner. The hands are her side, because she had to stand at attention in the corner. Until finally she decided, okay, I think I'd rather go to bed. And then she'd go to bed and everything would be fine. Never once did it occur to my toddler daughter that these 2 options that I'm presenting her with are, never, not once, are not the entirety of what she could possibly do. I presented her with options. She chose one. Now, when people say that they want to give children agency, this is exactly what they're talking about. They say, I want to give you a set of choices, and then you, with no experience whatsoever as to whether or not the choices are going to be good choices or bad choices, are going to have the agency to choose among these choices that you're being presented with. This is not the same thing as freedom. Freedom is using your imagination and going, I'm going to create my own choices. I'm going to choose to go outside to that blank canvas of snow and make blocks and build snow forts and have snowball fights with my friends and my brothers and have fun, and then come inside and drink hot cocoa and live this way instead of being told I have a choice. I'm going to create my own. And really, until you kiddies, come on, seriously. Break it out. Great. Now they're going to play and knock over the curtain again. All right. So we're going to get into more stuff like this. But today we're talking about the creative power of imagination, because really, look at these things that you've got here. I know you've got a pair, right? You got one, except for the people that are missing them. Sorry, it's not intended to be insensitive. But this is what we have. We have these things, right? And these things allow us to do things. We can do things in the world. We can create. Oh my, can we create? And we can destroy. We can destroy pretty good too. But of course, we get more satisfaction out of the things that we create, generally speaking, the things that we destroy. And of course, the way we go about creating always starts with the idea, the concept, right? Are we walking in the wilderness and all of a sudden, poof, oh wow, how did this pyramid get here? Right? No, somebody had an idea, right? Somebody had an idea. Say, hey, I wonder what happened if we got together and we built this thing. It starts with an idea. It starts in the imagination. No doubt. If raccoons had imagination, we would be in trouble, wouldn't we? Oh yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, really. As I go about trying to learn more about the species I share living space with, right? Particularly out there, outside. They're not all mammals, right? And mammals I can kind of understand because all mammals have mammalian brain. We've got this hypothalamus that produces neurotransmitters and chemicals that allow us to feel emotional states. This is common. We usually have this. Some people have a deficiency that causes them to not be able to empathize. We've talked about that before briefly. Probably we'll talk more about that with Greg in all actuality. Um, yeah, but we sign language. Every animal communicates. Well, everything really communicates in a way. It's just a question of whether you are listening, paying attention, perceiving, and processing, or looking for the intelligence behind the way the thing is trying to communicate, whatever it is, right? But everything really does. Although a lot of things, yeah, I could see her. She's like jumped right up, grabbed it, pulled it down. A lot of things have an alien intelligence. Oh my goodness. I had I had a Quaker parrot once upon a time. Oh my gosh. Birds. Birds are really alien. Now they have some of the same thought processes that we do. We all kind of started out with the reptilian brain that we built on it. Mhm. Maybe. Well, this is going to take a minute to fix, I think. I don't know what in the world the cat did to it, but it is. Oh, I see. I see. See. The base collapsed. There we go. Now it's standing upright again. There we go. The things we have to put up with when there were feral cats come indoors. But that's the kind of the thing. I'm dealing with feral cats. These are outdoor kitties. They're not. They're only accustomed to interacting with us. They're not tame. That was like a cartoon where he's like, damn. They are not tame at all. But whenever you're dealing with wild animals, you have to kind of understand that they have rules that they engage with each other with every day out there in the wild. It's like there are rules that they follow. That's kind of important. We're going to get to that whenever I had the talk with Greg, and I can't go any further than that because I'll give the entire thing away. But there are rules that we follow, and there are rules that arise. Um, there are rules that arise as a result of natural interactions between intelligent beings that are serving their self-interest. Um, Study words, look up complex adaptive systems. We will discuss later. All right. Sassafras Red says there are no animal anarchists. No, all animals are anarchists. They're all anarchists. There's nobody who rules the animals, except they do follow rules. They have to. Otherwise, they die bloody and horribly, and nobody wants that. It's just the thing, you get two cats out there in the wild that face off of each other. They have room to run away from each other. They're not going to sit there and fight to the death. They're going to go, they might scratch a little bit, and then they break off and they take away and they go their separate ways, because both of them know it's not in their self-interest to get a serious injury. I mean, shoot, cats are able to stand off creatures much bigger than they are in the wild, because that cat, although sure, you get in a fight with it, you can beat the cat, not a problem at all. I mean, none of these cats would pose much of a threat. None of the dogs that we have would pose much of a threat unless there was like 4 or 5 of them together and they teamed up to a person. If the person like had their head about them, realized, oh, wait a minute, I weigh 200 pounds, and I'm not an invalid. I can actually do some damage with the tools I have available to me. You can beat the animal, it's not a problem, but the injury you're going to suffer while you're beating the animal, if you're out there in the wild, you don't have access to medicine, you don't have antibiotics, you don't have a surgeon who'll sew you back up to fix that gash or whatever it was that you got, then the infection sets in. Sure, you won, but you lose in the end, and so it's better not to fight. And animals absolutely know this. They absolutely know it. The funny thing is, apparently some humans can convince themselves that that's not the case, that maybe the rules of nature don't apply to them or something, and they do silly, stupid things. Yeah. Anyway, Heterodox is in saying, I almost always submit to a hierarchy, and that is true. Hierarchies emerge. The question, of course, becomes whether or not the hierarchy is just, or even if that's a thing, right? Anyway, we get to that in a different talk. Today, we're just going to stick with imagination. Just imagination. Lets us do all kinds of things. Yeah. So Mary's talking about what's been going on outside with these outdoor cats. I like to have these cats around outside because I have a choice, right? It all comes down to choices. I can either forgo having this polyculture garden thing. I could give that out, go to just straight grass, maybe a tree or two here, a couple flowers in the corner. I could do that. And that's fairly easy to maintain. I mean, as long as you can put fuel in the lawnmower. But I don't want that. And so I've got a polyculture garden going on, which has a lot of things in it, a lot of things that are productive, that produce food, not just for me, but for other things. So I have other things that come in. And other things does include rodents, mice, rats, voles, gophers, groundhogs, right? Yeah, and yeah, Sasra says that has no imagination. No, man, it's plain grass, dull, boring. No imagination. Whenever it's the Taj Mahal and you've got 36 virgins or widows or whatever it is, trimming it with scissors to maintain it perfectly as a memorial to your wife who has passed on. Yay! Wow, that's cool. But we don't all need to have the Taj Mahal in our front yard. Come on, seriously. I mean, it stops being cool when everybody tries to duplicate it. It's something that's more practical. Let's have a food forest, but that's going to attract things, rodents, and as a result of having rodents, we are going to wind up with snakes, because snakes are going to come around. One, because of the birds I'm trying to attract. They want to eat the eggs. So they're going to be here for the birds and the birds' eggs, but also for the rodents. And the rodents are going to be there because all this stuff that we have that also attracts the birds is something that they're going to eat too. So I'm going to get snakes. I don't want snakes. Now, we don't have particularly bad ones here. Not really bad ones. Occasionally you get a rattlesnake, copperhead, cottonmouth. Cottonmouths I don't think will ever come inside. I don't think we really have to worry about cottonmouth coming. If they did, I'd be really, really surprised. That's typically you see those out by the water, and we're in between a couple of bodies of water, so our chance of encountering one is like whenever it's in transit, going from one body of water to another. Maybe that's when I'd encounter a cottonmouth. So it's a possibility I could run across one, but they're probably not going to be in the yard. Copperheads almost certainly would want to be here, and then rattlesnake maybe, possibly, but probably not. Most likely, what I'm going to wind up with is a bunch of rat snakes and maybe a king snake or two, occasionally a copperhead, and then a lot of garden snakes. That's typically what I have. But I don't want the snakes to become a problem, and I don't want the rats to become a problem. And if I don't want snakes and I don't want rats, the best thing I can think of is to encourage a population of barn cats, outdoor cats, right? So, and yeah, the cats are going to eat a few of the birds. They are. It happens. But they're going to keep the snake population down, and they're going to keep the rat population down, and that's why we have them. So there we go. So we're just inside here, enjoying the ice box, staying inside, keeping a fire going in the wood stove, standing by with candles and oil lamps in case the power goes out. But we're fortunate; we haven't had any severe snow or ice. Apparently, most of that dropped on the Panhandle, so they got a lot. They got a whole lot, and we just got the cold. Mary is asking if I got packages. I got all kinds of packages, Mary. Which packages were you interested in? Chickens eat baby snakes. Yeah. Whenever they get to them, they don't go after the full size rat snakes as much though. They have a tendency to just squawk a lot whenever they see one. You kill off the rat snake and go, hey, stop that. Stop eating my eggs. And then they'll pick them apart. We got these, but you already knew that. Mary ordered up a new pair of boots for me because the pair I've been wearing has got a hole in them. These don't look like they're going to last more than a season. And they don't have steel toes either. Oh. But they're fine if I'm just going to go out and put the ducks away. Okay, let's get these boots off. Won't you be? Won't you be? Please, no, we're not going to do that. Rat snakes are for you to eat. I guess if they got big enough. I've had rattlesnake before. I've had rattlesnake and I've had alligator. They taste remarkably similar. They do not taste like chicken. Chicken tastes a little bit like alligator and rattlesnake, not the other way around. But no, it does not taste like chicken. And that ain't kosher. No, it's not. Mm-hmm. Oh shoot! If I had a choice between keeping alive and keeping kosher, I'm keeping alive. Definitely. Heterodox says, can't find gloves, keep fingers warm. Mittens. That's why I like mittens. I was talking about this with the kids the other day, and they're like, they already have one of these. And then I said, I haven't seen it on the market. Well, they're not available to the general public. I was like, well, then we don't have them. It's like what I want. I don't care who makes this. It doesn't have to be me, because I'm not about to start buying the materials and putting together the patterns and stitching and sewing and boxing and shipping it and marketing it and all that. So I don't care. I'm just going to say this right now. I don't care who makes this. But what I'd like to see available on the market for the rest of us is some mittens for outdoor use. Set up not ambidextrous, but by-handedness. So we have a left hand and a right hand, and they're going to be different. And you can have the function swap back and forth depending upon whether you have a person that's primarily left-handed or right-handed. But you have one mitten that's a full mitten. It's got the full mitten and thumb, right? Full mitten. The other one it's going to have a partial mitten like this. So you have this part here, mitten, thumb, and then you've got your finger, and your finger needs to have here, up here at this point, it needs to have a material that can be used to activate a touch screen, which would be wonderful because touch screens don't like me to begin with, and I need something like that to activate a touch screen. But more importantly, you have this so that you can do some fine work, right? You can do some fine work, maybe, and use your finger to work a touch screen or other fine materials, and you have the mitten covering these fingers here. Because the thing that's the thing that makes a mitten advantageous is there's a little bit of body heat that your fingers produce. It ain't much, a little bit, right? And whenever you've got insulation all around one individual finger, one individual finger, one individual finger, one individual finger, you rely upon just that little bit of body heat that your finger can produce and not get lost in that insulating material. Is kind of difficult. If you have them all together in a mitten, then they get to share their body heat. And shared body heat is a great way to stay warm when it's really, really cold. And it works, on your hands as well as with, people. If you get stuck in this situation, keep the wind off you, keep the wet off of you, and get someplace where you can share some body heat, even if it's, an extra dog or a couple extra feral barn cats or something. It's better than freezing for sure. And of course, this would make a really good glove. I'm just saying. I'm right-handed, so I'd need them done for right-handed work. Somebody who's left-handed would need them done for left-handed work. And maybe somebody goes, hey, I need them both like that. And you can get them that way too. Or maybe you can just get both mittens. So you have a lot of options here, right? A lot of options for what you're producing and selling. You produce them. Sasser was talking about finding some old Army surplus gloves. Wool liners, leather, real leather. I like real leather. You need a durable material to work with on your hands, right? So that it does not get destroyed. I have some wonderful gloves that are great for working in wet conditions and keeping your hands from getting from suffering from hydrothermic shock because it's just wet and cold and wet and cold. Really great for that. But they don't have a whole lot of what's the word I'm looking for? They're not incredibly durable, right? They're great. They're great for keeping your hands dry, but they're not very durable. So if I use them, say if we're going out and laying a block wall, doing a dry laid masonry wall, they get torn up. I and I decided, okay, yeah, I might want to go out and do that kind of work right now, but I think I'm gonna have to put it off and wait until I have a different pair of gloves. I thought I had them over here, but I don't. Guess I'll use the plain leather gloves for that work because those are kind of made to do that. And occasionally, if Mary isn't watching, then I'll go and I'll pick up and I'll move rocks with just my hands, and I'll build my calluses and build my finger strength, and then complain whenever the skin starts peeling off later, right? Like, look at my hands. They hurt. You shouldn't have done that. Buy up all the cheap ski gloves and sand in the spring and have them in the next winter. Is it use a or use the? I think I figured out what the censored word was. All right. Yes, Asperus is saying I think they make them with the index finger thing. I've got a pair made by this is in no way an endorsement, but it just happens to be who made them. I've got a pair of gloves made by Masio that I've been using whenever I'm just going out to turn the water on and off when I'm taking the water out to the animals. When this pair, they're nice, they're well insulated, they're camouflage, which I don't really care about, but they keep your hands nice and warm. But the index finger is made that way. And it's made that way all the way down to here because it was made to be a hunter's glove. So this is trigger finger, right? But they did make it with that material so you can handle a touchscreen. I thought that was great. I just thought that there's no real reason why each individual finger needs to be articulated on this glove. It would be a warmer glove without it. And the only thing we really need is just that one finger free and maybe your thumb. And then depending upon what kind of work you are, and that's why I got that. I was like, hey, this is good as far as it goes, but I think we could do better. So just throwing that idea out there. I was told that they are made for military purposes, but the civilian market doesn't have one. It's like, oh shoot, then that's just a wide open market and an opportunity, then, isn't it? I'm telling you, there's somebody can make some money out there with that kind of a product. And if you do decide that you're going to go and make that product and you want to market it, then by all means get in touch with me. I'll be happy to endorse it, because like I said, I'd rather endorse a good product than make money off of something. The idea is we're trying to be helpful here, right? Oh yeah. Joe's saying it's important to keep our hands warm. It doesn't get that cold here. Yeah, it really doesn't. Every year my fingers get chapped. Well, especially if you're up in the mountains. Joe's in a place where you pretty much have to go up in the mountains to experience any real cold, but they do get cold up in the mountains. I mean, there's snow up there. You get high up enough where he's at. All right. Hang on a second. Mary can wash anything she wants to. What she's saying is, I say, I can't wash anything. That's what she says. Because whenever I do, if I don't, I mean, I can. But I have to be really careful about how long I leave my hands soaking, because calluses start to come off and then the skin comes off and it's no fun. I don't like losing calluses. It takes a while to build them back up and your hands hurt afterwards. So Joe says, talking about civilian market, there's a Mexican here that makes a good living wearing army surplus clothes. Army surplus clothes. Imagination. Yeah. So, okay. So, well, I mean, I imagine he wears them too, right? I kind of like, why is he wearing them? Oh, okay. Yeah. Probably because he's selling them. Okay. But yeah, imagination. There are opportunities out there. But problem is, a lot of people want to have a proven successful strategy prepackaged and handed to them, right? Like, and this is the reason why you have so many people out there creating courses and programs and buy my course, right? I'm going to show you how to do microgreens. We'll teach you how to build the entire business. I'll show you how to do a produce market garden and flip beds and take that to the farmer's market, sell produce, make $1 million. Sure, absolutely. But people are looking for, give me the system, right? Show me the thing that I need to do. Give me the choice that I can pick so I can do this thing. I'm just going to say, before you commit to that sort of course, before you allow somebody to present you with a limited set of choices that you feel you're obligated to pick one of, take a moment, examine what is, examine yourself, examine what you can do, examine what you stand for if you have principles, and then use your imagination. And maybe the choice that you wind up creating for yourself is in alignment with the choice that somebody else is presenting, and that's perfectly fine. But make sure you're exercising freedom and not limiting yourself to only agency. Be creative. Use your minds, use your imaginations. Remember to play, remember to have fun. And remember, we're all in this mess together, by golly. The person that you have a disagreement with is not your enemy. It's the idea between his ears that you have to fight. So everybody get out there, stay warm, and soon enough we're gonna get back to growing again. That's about all I got for you. I hope you found the video informative or entertaining. If you did, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time. And that's it. That's a wrap. If you guys are still hanging out and you want to chat, I'm happy just to chill out and chat with you guys for a minute. But I'm going to refill my coffee cup. So so there's that. Oklahoma Chicken Cam says my pipes made it through the cold. How are yours? Have you have to use your water key? I don't know if I well, yeah, I had to use it, and it's a good thing that I used it because after the fact, we did have the lines going to the kitchen freeze. So it's a good thing I used the key because the lines going to the kitchen are a little bit more narrow than the ones that just go straight to the bathtub. The bathtub's still there. We filled up the bathtub all the way, and I think maybe filling up the bathtub and leaving the water in the bathtub helped provide a stable thermal mass, right? Yeah. And Carolyn is asking, when's the thing with Green Greg's? I don't know yet because he's still getting his he's still getting things sorted out on his end. He's got a lot of stuff to do, getting that house ready to move. He's getting right now. He's dealing with the fact that the cold weather is hitting there too. So I don't expect that we're gonna have that particular chat until sometime after that. Whenever it's not, whenever he's not in emergency mode, because right now he's in emergency mode, scrambling. Give me a second here. I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be right back. If y'all are still here, we'll talk. Hi, kitties. How you doing? Huh? How you doing? Let me open up the damper on the stove for a sec. Woohoo! Dun, to that, to that. Wow, there's still somebody here. All righty. Fresh water. So this here is one of those Coleman 5-gallon water jugs. All right. Whenever you get these things, you want to take the tops off of them and have a look on the inside, because whenever they made these, they created the plastic body, and then they cut into it, not here, but they cut into it up here where they put the little valve in. As a result, there are little tiny bits and pieces of plastic on the inside of these. Whenever you first get them, you've got to get those out of there, or otherwise you're going to be pouring your water out and wonder why there's a little chunk of blue plastic in your water. And that's no fun. Boy, Heterodox says it's chickens, combs, bros. Woo, that's harsh. That is harsh. One of the ducks got a little bit of a cold injury to webbing on her feet, it looks like, but it doesn't look like it was too severe. It's like swallowing bubble gum. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure what swallowing bubble gum is like. Anyway, make sure you get all the little scraps of plastic out of here before you start using it, because you could have a little chunk of plastic just floating around there for as long as you've got the bottle, and then you open it up and start eating it. What if you were putting it? Yeah, that's not microplastic. It's just a big chunk. What if you're putting it in your cowboy coffee pot, putting it on the stove, and heating it up, and it starts to get melty, and yeah. Nope, it's not going to make your coffee taste good or your tea taste good. But there you go. We got big jugs, and we have 7 of these, I think. 7 of those. So all we really have to do while we have a severe cold is whenever we're ready, at one point during the day, I go out there, I turn the water on. We fill up what we need to fill up, then we shut it off, drain the line, Cold hits, middle of the night arrives. It doesn't matter how cold it gets, we can get down to the single digits. Things can freeze solid, and I know that the pipes under the house are not going to burst. And that's it. You just ride it out. We've got water. We got clean water. I've got a stove. I can heat the water. Yep. Joe said this is when those cool gourds replace plastic containers. Right. Yeah. Yeah, we could always. I need to do this here pretty soon. I need to figure out where I put my I had some leather strap that I was going to use to make a fitted lid for one of these, right? I'll show you how to go about taking the birdhouse gourd and preparing it for storage. And you can store water in them, but I mean, I'm using them for dry storage. I rubbed castor oil on this after I prepared it, put a little char on it, rubbed it down with castor oil, and that castor oil should help keep rodents away from this. I mean, I could have this sitting up on the shelf. The rat comes along and goes, "It doesn't really smell good here. I don't like that. It makes it hard for me to breathe. I gotta go somewhere else." And they leave it alone. And so my seed corn is fine. Doesn't get eaten by rodents. Might get eaten by other things. Weevils are still an issue. If you hold your gourd full of seed up to your ear and you hear crunching sounds from inside, you'll know the weevils found your corn. That hasn't happened yet, thankfully. Let's see. Mary, no, Mary, no, no, no. Mary tries to cook. Whenever I see her running off into the kitchen trying to cook, I do my best to stop her, but sometimes she sneaks in there anyway. I love you, honey. So it's actually been kind of fun. So Azrael and his girlfriend were over. They spent the night sleeping on the floor over here, and we kind of got a little practice at being kind of the I don't know, the tribe in the cave, so to speak. We didn't lose power, and because we didn't lose power, and because it turns out that it's actually not quite as cold in their trailer as I was led to believe initially. They decided they did not want to spend another night on the floor here. But of course, they now know that they've got a place where they can go should the power go out. And we have the space for them. Now we just have to clear up another space over there, I think. All right. So while they were over here, we kind of played around with what do we do if we do have one of those situations where we have cold winter, power goes out, and we have to make do, right? We've got battery backups for our iPods that'll keep us in music for a little while, but eventually we're going to have to do something. And so I broke out one of the spare guitars and tuned it up, kind of, and started teaching him some basic chords. We did a D chord. He learned how to make the D chord properly, and then after he got that one down, I said, "Okay, we'd like to do something else." Taught him how to do an A chord. So he did an A chord like that. He learned how to do the A chord. It's like, okay, got that one down. Then I showed him how to do an E minor, which is just these two fingers, right? It's a very, very simple two fingers chord. And then you add one more, and that becomes an E minor. Sorry, so this E minor, you add one more, and that becomes the E major chord. Right? This same shape with those same three fingers, you just move over, and it becomes the A minor chord. And so by the time we've done this, it's like three basic chord shapes, 5 chords. So he was able to get that, and then just play around with those chords by making the shapes, right? And so you get to play around by picking each note, making sure they can ring nice and clear, so you know you're making the shape right. And then you can play with it, right? Because there's variations. All right. It's just variations, and now we're just doing a D and an A, and we're gonna play around with it. Okay, so we got no. How about this? Something like that. Okay, so you got to play around with this, and a lot of music, the best stuff out there is very, 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 very simple. I mean, really, the things that people do that get them on the billboards and get them out there with selling stadiums, very, very simple stuff. You just have to be consistent with your delivery and confident with your delivery. Don't even really have to have an excellent singing voice. Have you ever heard Bob Dylan sing? It's not a great singing voice, but he got a guitar, you put it in his hand, he stood up there and he said what he wanted to say, kind of sort of to music, and wow, very successful. All right, so the real reason for picking up an instrument and playing it is not to become a rock star, of course. It's so that you have something that you can do whenever you're in the middle of these cold, dark nights and the power is out and you don't know if it's ever coming on again. And you want to do something so that you don't go completely nuts in the dark waiting for spring. All right. Oh, that sounds dismal. So you can have fun with it, right? And you can just make music, whether it's an actual real song or not. Who cares? It just sounds good. You can just sit there and play around with an A string, right? And this is just an A string, right, or an A chord. For Pan Am, three fingers. You're going to just get that on the second fret there, one up from the bottom. That was just an A with some variations. You don't have to know a lot to do something and amuse yourself with an instrument, especially in the middle of the dark. But know a few chords, play around with a few chords, and use your imagination. Very important. Use your imagination, because every hit song that ever started came because somebody was playing around and using their imagination. Right? Somebody was playing around. Shh, don't say what that was. Somebody was playing around and they said, "Hey, that sounds cool. I'm going to play that bit again." And they did it, and they did it until so they actually got good at playing that bit. And somebody said, that bit sounds cool. Somebody comes up with lyrics. There you go. Pretty soon you've got music. But It all comes from playing around with your imagination. So that's all I wanted to leave you with. Hey, we're 15 minutes over. Thank you guys that stayed around to just chit chat for a little bit longer. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, whatever it is coming up. Stay warm if you can. Have fun if you can. And who knows? Make a snowman. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. If you can't go to work, find a way to enjoy your time. Make it useful. Get creative. Springtime will be here soon, and we'll get back to work and we'll get growing. Until then, I'll catch you next time.